Hello and welcome back to a channel called Unfortunate. Today, I shall be reviewing a movie. I was like, you know what? What the hell? This channel is me talking about anything that comes to my mind, and I kind of want to talk about this movie because I thought it was pretty fucking good. So, The Menu. Holy shit. I'll give, like a spoiler-free review in the beginning of this video, and then I'll, go into the spoilers because I want to talk more about the movie, and I can't do that without, actually giving away some spoilers. So, my spoiler free review is simply just amazing character development. I don't feel a single character in this movie was underutilized. I feel like everyone had a part to play, and very early on, you could tell. Actually, you could not tell, where the story is gonna go, who is gonna, who are you really rooting for, like, who's the hero here, who's the villain, and like throughout the movie you're always like questioning yourself, okay, like who is really has like the true motives, and like who has like the wrong motives for whatever's occurring in the movie. And honestly, I think it's just like a splendid job on like the way it was shot, directed, everything. It was all done so well. The plot was so airtight. I really don't have that many faults with the plot, but there were some which I'll get into the spoiler review of. And honestly, I think that's really the spoiler free review because like it's just a well done movie, and that's really hard to come by in this day and age. And now I'll go into the spoilers. So, first and foremost, the most interesting observation I made after actually digesting and really absorbing the movie after I had watched it is the fact that the movie opens up on Tyler's face, who you think is the main hero and the main protagonist of the story. But it is so crazy how the narrative just weaves into Margot's character and how she's actually the main focus of the story. I feel like that was such a cool like bending of like focus, because you all like in the first like 20 minutes I was like, okay, I really don't like this guy, even though like the movie began with like him like coming onto this restaurant and like him really having this knowledge and like what how you say, like this knowledge of like fine dining and cuisine. But then it just the focus slowly shifts to Margot, and you're just like, oh, okay, she's the main focus of the story, and this is who I'm supposed to be rooting for. So I really like the fact that it was not obvious from the get-go that this is the person who is going to be the focus of this story, really. I will say though that there were some, I feel like, I don't think this is true for the later half of the movie as much as the first half, but I feel like there were some plot points I feel like I could very easily predict. Like for example, the chef killing himself. I saw that from a mile away. In fact, I actually thought that there would be like a cannibalistic nature to like him killing himself. Kind of glad that didn't happen, because I felt like they was gonna go in that direction because he was very clearly gonna be the focus of this dish. So yeah, kind of glad that didn't happen, but that was like a thought that came into my head of like, okay, it could have gone that way, it like could have very easily gone that way. Um, Also, just like I said before in the spoiler-free review, every character I feel like played their part. I don't feel like there was a single character in this entire movie that felt underutilized. I feel like every character in the restaurant, there was a different nature of like their relationship with art and like the cuisine and the food that they eat. There was like a specific relationship that they all represented, and like you could tell like chef and like all of his like uh cooks really like planned this out. This didn't feel like saying it was planned for the sake of planning. You could tell like all these people were like hand chosen for like different reasons, and like as the movie progresses you find those out. There's nothing like hidden really from you. But at the same time, I do appreciate when movies like don't give you all the puzzle pieces. They sort of like leave some for you to like imagine about and whatnot after you watch the movie. So I feel like that's also something I have to like like I really liked about the movie, that it gave you sufficient information. It didn't give you like like unnecessary information about like people's like past and whatnot. They gave you the just the right amount of information. um yeah, one other thing I liked was the fact that while it was on an island, you really felt the claustrophobia and confinement in the restaurant itself. Like the island was like, I think, very underutilized, but I think that was sort of intentional because they built up the island to like a good extent in the beginning, but then it was all about the restaurant. And I really liked that because it really, like, showed like the use of space and the confinement aspect of the customers in the restaurant. And I'm actually glad they didn't use the island a lot, except for I think the course where they actually had to, like, run a man's folly, where like the men had to like run around. I think aside from that, the island wasn't utilized a lot, which is ironically a good thing in the case of the plot. And obviously, like, the one aspect I liked about the movie was that it really got me thinking about, like, just the relationship of like art from the perspective of the artist and the consumer. And I kind of want to make a whole like other video about it, but I really like, I really like that whole perspective of like, chef talking about how he doesn't feel like he likes cooking for people anymore, and like this is his way of taking like revenge and whatnot. But I like the aspect that they actually like actually talked about it, and we actually saw chef's, I think, biggest like like dialogue scene of him talking about how he doesn't like feel happy cooking for people anymore. And I feel like that was really well done because that was the most like he spoke in a single scene, and that was probably the most like character development there was for chef. And speaking of like chef's character, I really like the fact that when Margot actually stumbles on his like the place where he lives, right, the fact that they didn't use like like flashbacks and stuff like that to show how he was and now how he is, to show his change of character. I really loved the use of the photographs and the newspapers and whatnot, because it kept all the flow of the narrative within the movie itself. That's what I really liked, because like there were so many like opportunities for the director and the writers to like put a flashback scene, because everyone's story involved a flashback scene, really, if you think about it. They could have like at any point shown the past of the person, that they did this and that. And I really like the fact that they all kept it in present time, and it was like the perspective of chef and how he felt about the people in the restaurant itself. It wasn't like a flashback scene of like the critic like shutting down someone's restaurant, or like chef in the movie theater watching the movie, call it Dr. Sunshine, I think. It was all in present time, and I love the fact that it was all compact. It was, you could feel like it was all happening like right there and then. There was no like time being manipulated and whatnot, so I really enjoyed that. And yeah, overall it's such a good movie, and it's such a good like use of like characters, and like they're like actually developing their personalities and whatnot. Like Margot's character was like so well developed. I forgot to talk about her. Like her character was like so well done, because just the way like her like character was slowly revealed to us. And dude, it was just insane. Like there's so much stuff I'm not talking about, like the whole thing that happened with Tyler. You could like, I saw that also, like coming from a mile away, that he was probably gonna like like when he was caught in the kitchen, I knew exactly like what was gonna happen, because he felt like someone who knows about cooking, but he doesn't understand the actual labor of like actually presenting a dish to someone. So that was a really cool like thing that they added also. And just like the the little details of like actually like showing their dishes and their description and whatnot, it was like it was so well done. Like there was humor in those like dishes being shown, and I like the fact that humor was utilized in those scenes alone, and they weren't like just chucked around in the movie to make it a bit lighthearted. I like the fact that the movie kept a like sinister tone and like a serious tone. Jokes were minimal. Like it was all so well delivered, so well executed. Sure, you can like argue that maybe there were some plot points here and there, like the Doug Verrick thing was like a bit forced. But then I do get the whole like the three guys, the accountants or whatever they were, being there, and like him, like how did he get his start and whatnot. So I guess that was like they had to sort of like give some sort of backstory to how chef had his beginnings and whatnot. So the Doug Verrick thing seemed a bit forced and like just last minute, but I feel like it added a lot to the actual like depth of like chef's character, and yeah, just generally the entire movie. And yeah, I would really recommend the movie. It's a really good watch. And yeah, that's all I have to say.